So where are you from here?
I'm from Bakersfield.
Bakersfield, California.
Hmm.
Is that where you grew up most of your life?
No, I actually grew up in a little town called Oakley, California, right outside the Bay Area.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, going like towards Petaluma, right?
it's so if you would be going like over the hill, Walnut Creek, Antioch,
Yeah.
then you would go into Oakland, the backside. So,
Gotcha. Just a little bit. You're good.
yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, I do. I work on the railroad. There you go. I work on the railroad, so I work all the way around, all around there. I work in
Okay.
like I work at BART now. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So we're
okay.
doing the BART railroad now. You
All
know what I
right.
mean? So get to see all the loving parts of that area, which is kind of sad in that area now, man. You know?
You
So
know, it was so awesome when I was growing up,
yeah, I
and
bet.
it's changed so
Yeah,
much more population. But yeah,
I feel like
so
Bakersfield would have been a cool town back in the day.
Bakersfield, my uncle lived there when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And we went there one time, and all I remember about Bakersfield, I don't remember the oil fields. I don't remember any of that, but I remember cotton for as far as you could see, you know?
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I work on what is it? It's the we talked about this. We just talked about this. It's the San Joaquin Valley Railroad that goes
Okay.
from there to man, almost to LA. You know what I mean? So
So what do you do for the railroad?
I'm the GM for a construction company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, buy my book, and it'll tell you all of it, bro.
All right. All right. Awesome.
Yeah. So when did you get sober?
So my sobriety birth date is September 1st, 2006.
2006.
Yeah.
Man. So tell us a little bit about it. Tell us
Okay. So my,
how did it all start for you?
all right. Well, for where it all started for me, um, so you would have to go way back. I had heard part of your that you had started at an early age. So, my mother was a partier. She was kind of that, you know, the 50s, 60s generation. And so I grew up partying, you know, at a very young age. It was, well, some of my earliest memories were she had a bunch of friends over and they had their kids there, and they kind of ended up putting us in like a wrestling match, and whoever won got to stay up with the adults. And so
Yep.
at 5 years old, I remember getting this kid in a choke lock, you know, basically just a headlock, but choking him out, and I got to stay up with the adults. And I remember still drinking. It was TJ Swan.
Yeah.
TJ Swan wine. It was like $2 a bottle. And it kind of started from there. I could roll a joint when I was 5 years old.
Yeah, man.
Um, the first time I fixed dope, I was 13.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had two younger sisters. And so when my mom would spin off on one of her runs, I had to fend for them. And so that also brought in another factor where I would go to the store and I would shoplift when I was very young, you know. And so
And what town is this?
this would have been in Gustine, California,
Okay.
little bitty agricultural town. And it's kind of strange, right? Because my dad's side of the family, very wealthy, been in California since the 1800s, came during the gold rush. My great grandfather was a dredge master with the California Mining Company. And so when the dredges went up the rivers, they would throw rocks and rocks and rocks. I'm sure you've seen it where, you know, there's down the rivers, there's just these mounds of rocks. Well, they would give them as an incentive, they could buy that land for pennies on the dollar. So he never took his pay. My family's from Boston, and you know, when he came, he had money. So he took all his pay in land. So we had a bunch of land. So they're all very kind of well-to-do, but I was adopted. So I was adopted into my dad adopted me
Yep.
when I was 6. So the family, he died when I was 9. No. He died when I was 6, adopted me when I was 5. He died. So the family kind of, they didn't really, I was just adopted family to them, you know?
Yeah.
So I stayed with my mom, and there was a lot of drugs, a lot of partying, and a lot of craziness, you know, a lot of insanity that went along with that kind of lifestyle. But my fallback was always, if ever things got hard or difficult, I was a pretty darn good criminal. You know, I was a pretty good, smart thinker kind of criminal.
I track the mentality for sure. Yeah.
So I put thought into it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I was good as far as like, you know,
You just weren't dumb.
yeah, I put thought into it. So fast forward through, I'm going to skip a whole lot of the partying and all that stuff, because really to me, it's not relevant as far as my story goes. So
You like the effect produced.
by drugs and alcohol,
Yes, sir.
they were the ends to the means for me. That was just normal. It was just, you know, it was normal.
It was like breathing.
Yeah,
that's
it was,
me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was it just, that was part of it. It just came with it, you know.
It's also harder because growing up in a small town like that, man, I think about that. What the fuck else is there to do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think about that often, you know, and that's why there's these little tiny towns that I'll visit, and the recovery's profound. And it's like, man, no wonder, you know?
And so in the town where I was at, all the kids were partying, a lot of alcohol, predominantly Mexican and usually first generation Americans.
Yep.
So, you know, their parents were more alcohol tolerant, you know. And so I remember, you know, kegger parties in 8th grade, going to people's garages and having like garage dances. You guys are probably too young for that kind of stuff, but it used to be a thing back in the 80s. But and doing that kind of stuff. And so it was just like the normal state of being for me, right? And then so you get to, in 1989, I met a gal, we got married, and I had my first kid, and still partying, you know, and for me, it never really, the consequences of my actions were never really present. All right. Yeah, I'd get in little stuff like this, or, you know, like, but not really any criminal stuff, no going to jail, but just family not wanting you around or stuff like that, you know, just the stuff that goes with that. So, my ex-wife, my wife at the time, she was a party girl too. And so we had my first daughter, and then we had my second daughter, and I went off the rails. I started doing a lot more meth stuff, and it started to really be a problem. You know, the guns and stuff like that was part of it. And so my kids were taken by CPS, and now that was a big thing for me, because being adopted and the stuff that I went through, I always said that I would be a good parent. And so they were taken from me. And that was my first bout into sobriety. All right. My first time. And I went into it, and I was pretty serious about it. And I joined a very intense group of people that worked a pretty intense program. And I managed to stay clean for 10 years. But, and I say this a lot of the times when I'm talking to folks, that the life that sobriety gave me got in the way of my sobriety life.
Yes.
You know, and I stopped doing the things that I was doing when I got sober. And a wise guy once told me that, you know, that there's going to come a time when the only thing between you and a drink, or you and that first shot, or whatever your thing is going to be your conscious contact with something bigger than you.
Yeah, man. Wow.
And I had let mine slip. And so
where did it start? Because that's a huge theme in the rooms that I see often. And did it start with not going to meetings anymore, or did it start with not talking to sponsors?
Well, what had happened with me was I became employable. All
Fuck
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not, I'm a pretty good employee.
Yeah.
Okay. I work hard,
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm kind of a pit bull when it comes to work.
Yeah.
So I jump into it, and it's like that for me with everything. Okay. I'm addicted with everything, and the good things, the bad things, it don't matter, softball, 100%, golf, 100%, drugs, 100%, whatever it is, it's 100%.
Yep.
So I got a job with this guy. It was a smaller outfit, and I was doing all of the Starbucks in Northern California. So I was gone all the time. So meetings weren't really going to happen because I was always working, 18, 20 hours a day. It was at the point when things really started to kind of get bad for me, was I was working and I would go to this Starbucks. I'd work until I couldn't work anymore, go out in my truck, sleep for a couple hours in the parking lot, get up and go finish the job, go to the next job. And I was doing that. And again, and my ex-wife, she had started using, and I was sending her, and this is back in 94, something like that. I'm really bad with time. So
were you building the Starbucks back then?
I was doing all the plumbing in them.
Got it. Cool.
I was doing all the plumbing. I've been a plumber for almost 40 years now.
Gotcha.
So she had started using it, I wasn't there, so she started doing all the stuff that came with that. And I was not equipped to deal with that. All right. I was not equipped to deal with all the things that were going on. So I was at home one day, and I get a call from a realtor, the realtor that had told me. It says, "Hey, Jamey, is everything going okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" She says, "Well, you haven't made a house payment in 6 months. I've been sending $2,300 home a week." You know what I mean? It's like I would just send that money home. And so I'm hitting her up, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Because at the time, I didn't know that she was using. All right, I had no idea. There were things, there were signs that were in front of my face, but I just didn't, I chose not to see them, is the best way I think about it, So it comes into a big old fight, and I find out she's using, and so I cut off the money. Well, you cut off the money to a dope fiend, they're going to do what, a dope fiend does.
Yeah.
So she started running around and doing all this and doing all that and trying to do things to punish me, and it was to where my mental state, because I was cool just going to work and doing my thing, I wasn't using or anything like that, but I wasn't spiritually fit. All right. And if there's anything I can, any message that I can pass on to anybody at any time when I'm talking to them is, look, okay, sobriety's like a battery.
Yep.
All right. And if you're charging it, you're going to be okay. If you're not doing anything to stay sober, then you're doing things to get loaded.
Yep. And I think that I'm of the type that believes that this is a disease, right? And there's no cure to this disease yet. And my only reprieve is a daily reprieve, and it's contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition, right? So if I'm not maintaining my spiritual condition like you're talking about, then I don't get that fucking reprieve. And you have enough days strung together with just sober or just clean, man. It starts fucking, your knuckles start to get white again, real quick. And I love that analogy of the battery. I couldn't have said it better myself, man. Yeah. So and that's it. Yeah. And you I want to back up real quick, because this is something that's been talked about. Is you were mentioning that your ex, you didn't catch the signs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but for me, it's a lot like the people around me that are using heavy. I don't see that there ever was as bad as I was. So it's like I'm so ignorant, because I'm just like, man, well, you're not cutting catalytic converters out of cars and fucking, you know what I mean? You must not be as bad as me. So is that kind of how you felt about that? And Or you just gone on the road too long, that kind of thing.
You know what? I think that I just wasn't present enough to where I would see the signs. You know, I wasn't there enough to be there. But then when you look back in retrospect, right? Like I came home one time and it was like I got in at 2 a.m. and she was gone and my kids were in bed alone.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but Nextels.
No.
Okay, so a Nextel was a phone that was like a walkie-talkie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had Nextels, and so I get on the Nextel, and I'm like, hey, where are you? She's, I'm at Walmart. I'm like, the kids are in bed. She's, I had to get stuff for their lunch. I'm like, okay, cool, that makes sense. You know what I mean? But looking back, it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, you know? And there were just so many, looking back, there were so many different signs. And you know what? For a long time, I was very, very angry and very bitter with her. You know what? Okay, to be honest, there was a period of my life where I was very, very angry and very, very bitter. All right. And we can get into that. You know, that's a little bit further in the story.
Yeah,
but,
go ahead.
So the period of time, and it was a short period of time that this was going on, but to me it was so heinous it felt like forever. I'm a pretty old-fashioned kind of guy. I never cheated on anyone that I've ever been with, ever. I just don't do it. I don't believe in it. It's part of who I am. And so when that kind of stuff was going on, the infidelity and stuff, and it was brutal stuff, right? That really, it kind of put me in a really bad place. So then I had this one friend from before I got sober that I hadn't cut off. He was someone that I still had, contact with and allowed to be around me and my family. Well, he had come over. He had just gotten out of the joint. He'd come over and I had this trailer on the property, and that was like where my kids had their sleepovers and stuff. And him and her were out there in the trailer, and they were, doing whatever and I was in the house watching the Steelers in Miami. I still remember the Steelers in Miami. And he comes into the house. He's like, hey, man, wants to talk to you. I wish I hadn't, because I would have liked to without her permission. But anyway.
I'll bleep it.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
bleep it. I
Awesome.
got you. Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
good. Don't worry about it.
But anyway, she wants to see you out in the trailer. And I'm like, what does she want? He says, she just wants to talk to you. I'm like, all right. I go out there and she takes a bag of dope and throws it on the table. She says, look, I want to get loaded with you so we can start our clean day again. And I looked at her. I'm like, and I'd go back in. All right. They keep on and they keep on. I says, so you guys really, you want me to get loaded with you? Yeah, this is what you want? Okay. I took the bag and I did a shot.
Yeah.
And 6 weeks later, I'm robbing banks. So
oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I know I have a problem because all that makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, you want to start over. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And so I robbed 7 banks.
Hell yeah.
And it was over a period of time, but I don't know if you guys know the Scott Peterson case.
No.
Okay, so Scott Peterson is that guy in Modesto, California, which is where I lived at the time, that killed his wife and unborn baby and took him out in the bay, and it was national news. National news. He had a mistress in Fresno, and the lead detective on that case was assigned to me. And now, just to be clear, okay, I wasn't just robbing banks. I was doing. Well, they brought a task force into Stanislaus County because they thought an organized crime ring had moved in.
Understood.
And it was me.
Got it.
It was me.
Yeah.
I was off the rails.
Yeah.
Okay. I was off the rails. I kind of gave up. You know what I mean? I just gave up on being a human, on being a father, on everything. So I would rob a bank and I would come to Reno.
Yeah.
Okay. wash the money, party like a rock star, go back when I didn't care about money. What did money matter to me? If I ran out, I'd just go get more.
Yeah. How were you
There's-
washing it?
Going to the casinos.
Throwing it in the machines?
Yeah.
And then pulling it out?
Yeah.
Fuck.
And
Can't do that anymore. Maybe you ruined it for the rest of us.
well, I probably did.
Yeah,
I ruined a lot of shit for a lot of people. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But so the FBI got involved, and I
Because you
got
cross state lines, right?
no, because I was robbing banks.
Well, that makes sense
And
too,
the propensity for violence was steadily increasing.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I started, I was doing it with toy guns.
Yeah.
And by the time I was done, I had a sawed-off 12 gauge. The time was coming.
Were you note passing? How were you?
I was doing takeovers.
You just takeovers. So were you trying to get all the way back there?
No, I wasn't
Just getting tills.
I wasn't going into a vault.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
getting till money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I was doing takeovers.
Yeah.
I would go in, whip out the gun, and tell all the tellers to put the money on the counter.
Yep.
All of this, all right, and this is the part to me that is so profound. I was not a violent person. I was not, that was not really my thing. All right. Usually if there was conflict or anything like that, don't get me wrong, I'm not a backup guy, but I'm not a start stuff guy. That's not my kind of thing. I was a pretty much a stand up, straight up guy. And so I had prostituted all my morals and all my beliefs. I'd given all of them away. So I two-stepped with the FBI for about 6 months and got hit by SWAT a couple different times trying to catch me up. And the last time I got caught by SWAT, they took me into the Woodland Police Station, and they've got me in this holding room, and James Brocchini comes in, and he's like, well, and he slaps down a picture of my crimey, my nephew. And do you recognize that guy? I'm like, no. And he doesn't look familiar. And I mean, it's a close up of me to you, of my nephew. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's no glasses, no hat, it's my nephew.
Right.
And he's, so you don't recognize that guy, huh? I said, well, he kind of looks like Elvis, and he's okay. All right, wise guy. Well, hey, just so you know, we're waiting on a teller to come here from Modesto that as soon as she IDs you, you're done. And I'm like, okay, well, then I guess I'll wait. And I just put my head down. So a couple hours later, he comes back in, and I lift my head up because I was just dead tired running, and I thought it was over. He slaps down a folder and he goes, well, Mr. Robinson, I got to give it to you. You're pretty smart. You're pretty smart. The teller, she couldn't ID you, and we're going to let you go. And I start to sit up and I start to perk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this guy for real?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, we got to let you go. We can't hold you. And I start to like, cool. I started to like rustle myself up together to get out of there.
Yeah.
And his whole demeanor and attitude changes. And he says, but you know what, you stupid motherfucker? I want you to know I bust 30 of you a fucking month, all right? Because you're too fucking stupid to stop.
Yeah.
And when you get caught, the next time you do it, this is the last face you're going to see. And I'm sitting there in my head and I'm thinking, yeah, all right, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I've been dancing with you guys for months. You ain't never going to catch me. And I walk out.
Yep.
So about 2 months later, okay, I tried to kind of straighten up and go, to go back. Didn't quit using, didn't quit partying.
Right.
But I tried to not do any more, crazy shit.
But you weren't treating the deficiencies.
No. Well,
Right.
The disease was
Right.
in full progression, So as we do, I did what I do, and I went and I hit another bank, and they knew my MO at this point. They knew what I was doing. So I took off to Jackson Rancheria, and I was there and gambling the money and doing, what I do. And they caught me and they took me down. And this time they had marked bills, and so they had me. And they take me to to jail. And there's something that I didn't talk about. Okay, so before any of this happened, before any of this had, like before the getting loaded or whatever, I'd gone to my sponsor and I asked my sponsor, to help me out, because I said, man, I'm in a bad place. All right. I'm not doing well. And he had kind of shifted away because it'd been so long since I'd been in touch with him. He kind of went the church route. All right. And he was doing the church thing. And he said, well, hey, man, you know what? I'm sorry you're going through that. I'll pray for you. And that was all he said. And so I had no network because I had, set aside my recovery network. And so I felt left out, right? And so now I get busted, and I end up, they gave me, it was a 10-year sentence, okay? It was 116 months, 116 months. So I remember, and I hope to God I never forget this, because when they sentenced me to 116, I was like, oh, well, shit, 100, man, that ain't shit. You know what I mean? That ain't shit. And then they send me to Victorville, to the USP, and that was a rocking and rolling place. And now, you know what? I'd never really been in any real trouble. You know what I mean? Never. So I get on this yard, and it was a rocking and rolling place. All right. And I was about 4 months into my bit, and when I was fighting my case and stuff like this, I kind of talked to some dudes that had been around, and they're like, look, man, just do this and do that. You ride with the whites and you do this. And they gave me the political breakdown. So I knew to go in there, stand on my own 2 feet. All right. Don't back up. Don't back down, and just fucking do what you got to do.
Yep.
So I'm in there. I'm about 4 months. All right. And it dawns on me, I'm laying on my bunk, and I'm like, fuck, this has only been 4 months. I'd already been through a couple riots. I'd already been, I'd seen some pretty heinous shit. Son of a bitch. This is, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
So,
they sentenced you to 10, and you were going to do all 10, or what did you say?
It's 80% in the feds. They sentenced me to 116 months is what the sentence was.
The sentence was?
That's 116 months. That's the way the feds do it. They don't give you years. They give you months. It's months off your offense level. And the way it goes is they have this graph, okay? And now your offense level goes up this way, and your criminal history category goes this way.
Okay, so that's okay. Yeah.
So my criminal history category was a 1, but my offense level was a 33.
Yeah.
2 below the top.
Right.
All right. So what happened was that put me into a very higher security.
Right.
All right. And so I'm at Victorville, and I'd been there, so I'd managed. I stayed, pretty tight with the whites. All right. I stayed tight with the whites.
Right.
I stayed tight with the whites. But the guy that was the yard rep at that time was supposed to be this, this guy that the brand had sent over and this and that. And he was making bad moves. He got into debt with the Mexicans on the yard. And they called the meeting, and they said, hey, look, okay, all the whites got together. And so there were 1,100 paisas on the yard, which, just the Mexicans, cartel guys, stuff like that. 118 whites, 300 Southsiders, 300 blacks, and about 120 others. We had the lowest numbers on the yard, so we had to pretty much stay pretty tight. And he'd say, look, okay, we're going to have a meeting with the paisas, and depending on how this goes, this could go bad. It could go either way. And so they picked me and my nephew, my crimey, and we were boomers on the yard. So basically what that is we were guys that we kind of set off to the side, and they gave me 2 pieces, and I had a piece taped to this hand and a piece taped to this hand, piece knives. All right. And so
if they got bloody, they wouldn't slip out your hand. This is Jacob, the host of the 4th Street Live podcast, and my new book, The Rail Runner, inspired by my life on the railroad and being a railroad contractor, is now for sale on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Please go check out my new story if you're looking to escape reality for a few hours. It's a great read. Support a local Reno author. Thanks so much. I don't know about you guys, but if you have ever been down on your motorcycle, gotten hit, somebody had no insurance, anything like that, you feel like there's nobody around to help you out, but Law Tigers Motorcycle Attorneys is the way to go. You need to get these guys. Just save them in your phone if you have to. Law Tigers is there to help bikers. It's bikers for bikers. These guys ride motorcycles, and they will take care of you. They're personally handling claims and will be the biggest advocate for anybody on two wheels. Check out Law Tigers Motorcycle Attorneys and a sponsor of 4th Street Live. Thanks so much. What's up, everybody? Are you looking for custom vinyl decals for your business? Go check out Vision Moto. Vision Moto can do everything from support stickers for your motorcycle club, custom decals for your dirt bikes or your Harleys, and anything that you can think of. Mark over at Vision Moto can get you taken care of. A local business right here in Reno, Nevada. Go check out Vision Moto.
Yeah. Well, and so they wouldn't get took, you know. And so we're sitting there on this bench and we're just watching. If something kicks off, we're just going to go in and book as many people as we could. And I'm sitting there and thinking, oh my God, I'm never getting out of here. And I'm going to do the rest of my life in prison because I'm going to do what I have to do. You know what I mean? And something changed. Something in me clicked at that point, at that time. I stopped being human. It just was gone. All right. And now I'm just an animal. All right. And running off of base instincts. And I'm doing, you know, whatever. So, like I said, I've been a plumber for a long time. So I ended up going into facilities and, I'm working in facilities. I'm the plumber. And if you talk to anyone on the joint, they'll tell you that the plumber is the guy. All right. Because I can go to any unit. I have unlimited access after lockdowns, whatever. It doesn't matter. I go into the shoe. I can take messages. I can do whatever. I am the hub of transport on the yard. So I do that. And then this stuff goes on. And after this stuff's done with the Paisas and nothing happened. Okay. Nothing happened, but we had a meeting on the yard about the yard rep. All right. And, I told the truth. I says, hey man, this fucking dude shouldn't be making calls for any of us. All right. He's all, trying. I'm like, hey man, what's up? You know what I mean? Well, what do you want to do? And, so basically nothing really happened at that point, but everybody kind of knew where I stood. All right. And everyone knew where he stood. Well, he got into more trouble and ended up checking in because the Mexicans were going to get him. All right. So when he went off the yard, they asked me to be the yard rep. So now I'm making the moves and calling the shots. The reason I brought up the plumber thing is, okay, so my boss, when I got there, all right, they had these heat exchangers in the back of the units, and that was restricted access. All right. But I would go with my boss and I told him a couple times, hey man, look, Esquivius, take me back there. I'll fix these things and we'll have hot water. All right. And he's like, yeah, right. Okay, convict. I'm like, dude, look, I've been a plumber for a long time. Take me back there. I'll take care of it. So he took me back there one time. I dialed him in. I got the temperature transfer switches. Okay. The coils, and swapped those out. And we had hot water. We were getting, things were fixed. Well, to get back there, you go through the officer's lounge, and that's where they would be smoking and whatever. So it was a tobacco-free yard. They quit tobacco in 2006, something like that.
Oh, just before you got there. God damn it. Yeah.
So,
is this a bad time to say that we're sponsored by Johnson Plumbing for this episode?
So he would let me hit the ashtray and take the cigarette butts. All right. And so I was taking those and I come back and now I could smoke. Well, there were these two guys And they were on the crew, and they were kind of lames, you know what I mean? They were just, they were not hip to the game like, you know, the rest of us were hip to the game. I don't know what their crimes were, but they were, you know, they should not have been on that yard.
Yeah, man.
So one time they're, hey man, we want to go back there. And I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, dude, look, you're not the boss. I said, check this out. Okay. You're not going to go back there and fuck up my game. All right. You guys staying out here. So they went to SIS, which is the cops in the prison. And they told them that my boss was taking me back there and giving me heroin. And I was bringing it back on the yard and distributing it on the yard. They come back. It's a Friday. He takes me to a food service and he opens up the warehouse and he says, hey, Robinson, go in there and grab whatever you want. And that way I'd have food for the weekend. Well, I went and grabbed a couple blocks of fucking cheese. Okay. 5-pound blocks of that government ass cheese, grabbed those, brought them back to the unit. Okay. I cut them up into chunks and I was taking and giving chunks out in the units. Like, you know, I'd sell some to these guys, sell some to that. Well, SIS went to the cameras and they see a dude going outside the gate, going to food service, coming back and distributing packets like this.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's on and cracking.
Yeah.
So they come and they put me in the bucket and they put me in the shoe for 6 months, no contact. The cops couldn't talk to me. No one could talk to me. The only ones that would talk to me was the inspector general and the FBI. I wasn't doing drugs at that time. I wasn't in the program, but I wasn't doing drugs. All right. That wasn't my gig. I was, you know, drink a little Pruno, whatever, but I was told by people before that, hey man, look, you know, you get into the drug game, that's a bad game to get into. It's a real good way to ruin yourself inside. So I'll cut all the crap out in between that. But so 6 months, 7 months, they come and they let me out. Well, during that time, okay, that I was in there, my security level, because of the amount of time I'd been in, dropped. So now I can leave the USP and they moved me over to a low at Terminal Island in Long Beach.
Yeah.
All right. Freaking puss place. I mean, just as far, if you got to do time in prison, that was the spot.
That's like the white collar guys.
That
right?
was, well, it was just, you're right on the ocean. From me to you, we are to the water, 2 fences right there. And it was just perfect. The problem was I took me with me there.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so when I tell you guys that I was an animal, I was an animal. All right. I mean, I was no longer human. If I told you something and you thought you had your own opinion, you were getting knocked out.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, I got on a softball team and I was playing with these guys, and there were a couple guys that were different. All right. And I didn't know how they were different, but they never were in the mix. Okay. They were with us, you know, they were white dudes. And now I'm one of the fellas, right? And when I say a lot of people may not understand that, but when I say one of the fellas, okay, my word was it was the rule. Cool. All right. That was it. So one of them comes up to me after one of the games and he's like, hey man, check it out. Me and a couple of the guys, we got this meeting and I'm like, what do you mean meeting? And they're like, well, you know, it's a program meeting and I don't want to, we'll just say it's one of the programs. All right. That's a fair way of putting it. And I'm like, whoa. Okay. Miss me with that, bro. Okay. Been there, done that. Fuck you and fuck God. All right. And he's like, sorry, brother. Sorry. You know what I mean? And he bowed out. All right. First of all, and that's exactly how I came at him. All right. I mean, that is exactly how I came at him. Right there alone was enough to, you know, for him to, if he wanted to do something, he was well within his rights. But he just gracefully backed up. About 3 months later, I'm going to say, we were, you know, cool, hanging out, you know, doing whatever. And he says, hey, man, look, okay, I know this ain't your gig. All right. I understand. And I respect that. But look, we have some people coming in from outside. And I know that if you came, it would make it okay for other people to come. And maybe they need it. I'm like, Okay, bro. And to this day, what I say is that there was something looking out for me that I didn't want looking out for me. You know what I mean? That I didn't believe cared about me. I think something was. All right. And looking back, I feel and for me, it's God. For other people's, it can be whatever it is. All right. But was looking out for me when I didn't even believe that there was anything there to look out for. So I go to this thing, and it probably some of the happiest, one of the happiest times of my time inside there was looking back at this particular period.
Yep.
There's some benchmarks inside that I look back with fondness, and this is one of them. So I go in there, and it's a bunch of these ladies. There's a meeting in Long Beach that's since closed, but it was a very large fellowship. It was called Marina Pacifica. And there were a bunch of ladies that came in, and some of them were drop dead gorgeous. I mean, drop dead, smoking gorgeous. And then there were like 3 or 4 of these little old ladies, and I know they wouldn't be upset, but Janice and Julie, little bitty, probably 60-something years old, alcoholic, all right? They come in and they shared their story, and then there was this one guy, and this guy comes in, and he's got these handlebar mustaches, and he's got arms like my legs, and he comes in, and he's me.
Yeah,
He's me. And he's standing up there and he's saying, you know what, man, I just got out. I just did 35 years in Quentin. And I don't know about AA. I don't know about this shit. I've been sober fucking a couple months, but I know this. I don't want to go back. And someone told me that if I could do this and if I could make it in this, I don't have to go back. To this day, all right, I don't know, how or what, but I heard this dude. I heard him, and he connected, and the whole time he's looking at me like I'm looking at you, and he's talking to me like I'm talking to you. And it resonated with me, And so after the meeting, I'm kind of, doing the, the homeboy shuffle, standing over with my boys over on the side, kind of checking out the chicks and talking slick and whatever. And this hand comes and hits me on the shoulder. And I shared about this the other night at a place I was talking, and inside, okay, you don't walk up behind someone and touch them.
Yeah.
Right. You just don't.
Yep.
And I turn around and I look, and it's this dude, and he goes, so what are you about? I'm like, what the fuck do you think
How
I'm
do you
about,
even answer
dog?
it? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, what? And he's, no, man, what are you about? And I didn't really have an answer to that, I mean, I'm about fucking doing my time and getting the fuck on. What, And says, well, hope you keep coming back. So I kind of heard something there, and it was just that little spark of memory of what it used to be like when I tried the first time, So my buddy, and he's my sponsor and has been since I asked for a sponsor.
Still your sponsor.
Still my sponsor.
Badass.
Yeah. He comes in and he said, what do you think, man? I said, I think maybe I'll come around a little bit. All right. So I started going to meetings, and I told him, what I told him was, hey, man, but listen, miss me with that fucking God shit. All right. I still believed that God fucking abandoned me. All right. That's what I believed it, and he's like, cool. And it was, I mean, to know this guy, his story is even crazier than mine. Right. But, he never took offense, and he let me be me, right? He let me be who I was going to be. And I started going back and just hanging out with these guys, and these ladies would come from outside. And, the amazing thing about this group that I was involved with, they never judged me. They never treated me like, I was some kind of scummy convict. They weren't afraid. And they would come in and they would bring these meetings in, and we would have these meetings, and there wasn't a guard in the room. They had talked to the warden and got permission to not have a guard in the room so that we could be real, right?
Those ladies must have been hard as nails, man.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
bro, and some of them were, I don't want to break their anonymity, but some of them were as pretty as any magazine,
Yeah.
drop dead
Yeah,
gorgeous.
that sure makes the
But-
time go by faster too.
But
bro.
these
Yeah.
old ladies didn't take no shit.
I love
They didn't give two fucks.
Yep.
You in here for murder? Okay. Do you want to be a fucking victim? Sit down and shut up.
I love
You know what I mean?
I
They
love
were
it.
they were awesome.
Fuck
They were
yeah.
awesome. I had the opportunity after I got out to go to Marina Pacifica,
You did.
and they had me come up and they had me speak for them, and those ladies were in the room, you know, and I was a bawling freaking wreck, you know what I mean? I was sitting up there, and it was just such a true and pure moment to have made it through the fire and to let them see that what they had done, the steps that the sacrifices that they had made to come in there and to bring that wasn't in vain, you know? And that's also part of my mission statement today, is to live my life in such a way that I honor the sacrifices that people have made.
Yeah.
And I also I live my life in such a way. I have 9 grandchildren, 4 daughters that are adults with children. Not one of my grandchildren has ever seen me loaded. Not one of my grandchildren has ever heard me raise my voice in anger. My daughters, when I first got out, wanted nothing to do with me. I was not allowed to be alone with my grandchildren. All right. And I came out, I mean, you know, I had political ink. I had, you know, I mean, well, you know, I had the stuff that
It's
that-
survival. I get it.
well, and yeah, but I mean, it's also stuff that I thought was part of me.
Yeah.
And you know what? Through a process that someone taught me, okay, I was able to shed a lot of that,
Yeah.
and now I can be vulnerable. I can tell you, hey, man, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
All right.
I had a similar experience. I'll tell you off
Okay.
this, but yeah, same thing is without somebody teaching me love and tolerance, bro. I'd just be an angry motherfucker still who's just sober. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
And it's, you know, it took me a long time to learn that anger is fear. Anger is fear
Right.
projected out instead of looking at what's going on,
Right.
right? And dealing with you. That way you can be of service. You
Right.
know, you can be of maximum benefit to the people around you. And you know what? The way I live my life today, 100%, and I don't have to even think about it, bullshit about it, nothing, is about service to others. All right. When I'm at work, I try to be of maximum benefit to the people around me. When I'm at home after hours, you know, if guys that work with me are hungry, okay, I got you. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, I live my life as service to others
Love that.
because of the gift that was given in service to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, let me ask you this real quick.
sure.
When you got out, when I got out, it was right back to the fucking races, man. And I got put on paper, and part of the stipulations of my paper was no drugs and alcohol because I wasn't even 21 yet. You know what I mean? But it
Mhm.
would have been that anyway. So, I knew I knew I couldn't piss dirty if I was drinking, so my alcohol took off. It was everything else before that. It really wasn't alcohol for me. It was a spiritual deficiency. Now that in retrospect, it was just a spiritual deficiency. And I'd fill it with whatever I could
Mhm.
other than trying to be healthy, bro. You know? So, you know, I got out and my alcohol took off because I know I would never go check into parole and probation drunk so I could get away with it,
Mm.
you know? Did you have any of that going on when you first got out, or you felt like
So-
you had such a strong program that it was
Well,
better?
so I was real fortunate. I had 6 years by the time I got out.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. And then and it's kind of funny. So in the feds, it's almost mandatory that you have to go to a halfway house for 6 months. All right. And so I get to this halfway house
I agree with that.
and I met with the counselor and I told her what was up and I said, look, okay, you won't have any problems out of me.
Yeah.
Do you guys have AA?
Yeah.
And she said, well, we have a group that comes in, once a week. And I said, okay. And do you allow me to go to AA? And she said, you can go as often as you want.
Fuck yeah.
So I integrated right into AA because that's how I ended up in Bakersfield, is that was the only halfway house in California that would take a bank robber.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I started hitting meetings there. All right. And then my PO comes and my PO now, okay, my affiliation in the joint was a skinhead. All right. I was an independent skin. So my PO was this 6'4", 280-pound freaking ex-lineman black dude. All right. And when he comes in and he's got the folder and he's automatically thinking I'm a problem. Right. And I'm like, hey, listen, bro, I'm going to be the easiest freaking inmate that you've ever had. And he's like, I said, look, boss. All right. You want me to test for you? I'll test now. I'll test tomorrow. I'll test the day after. I'll test any day you want. You can come at any time. You call me, I'll come down here in 20 minutes. I'll test. I've been sober 6 years. I'm not trying to cause no problems. I just want to work and get back to my life, And he was like, you know what, Robinson, I believe you, man. He turned out to be one of my good friends. I mean, he was, when you're not a detraction, all right, and you're a positive influence on the people around you, it's amazing what you can achieve with the people that are, in positions of authority over you, or, in law enforcement. I got rear-ended by a freaking undercover detective in Bakersfield, right? I'm fresh out and I'm like, hey, I'm felony searchable. You can go through my, here's my, and he's like, I don't think I need to. I'm like, well, hey, you can, you're good. You're good. So, I think that if you embrace every part of yourself, right, and you accept that there is good and bad, I still have a temper, but as soon as that comes, I can let it go. When I do something wrong, I'm immediately accountable. I go up and, hey, look, I'm really sorry. If I mess something up, I don't hide it. I don't lie about it. And I messed this up,
So did you do all your steps inside?
I did.
Gotcha.
I
So
did.
what was it like doing a 4th step and a 5th step with another dude in prison?
You know what? I think so.
And did you have a sponsor of somebody that was also inside?
My sponsor he was a fellow inmate. That guy that on the
That you're
softball
talking
field,
about, right? Yeah.
that was my sponsor.
The big
And we
guy.
went through the steps. And you know what? Before we went through the steps, before we ever got to a 4th step or a 5th step, we knew enough about each other's story that I was comfortable telling him anything, and
There's no better sponsor than one that's not going to rat on you. So,
it's not even, you know what, for me, the someone to rat,
yeah, no, I'm just,
I was
kidding.
way
Yeah.
past that at that point, but, having someone that I trusted would not take my dirt, and use it against me, was huge.
Yeah.
But I also, so this group
But
of
you
guys,
also had to be honest, right? And
Oh, yeah.
and that's the disconnect, is when I work the steps, I can tell if a guy's being honest with me or not.
Mhm.
And that's it doesn't matter how good of a fucking sponsor you are, really. It just matters how capable and willing you are of being honest with another human being.
Well, you know what though? So I found that, even if a person is not like 100% forthright, if you show them, for the people that I've worked with,
Yeah.
all right, if you show them that you accept what they gave you, all right, and there's no negative consequence to that, because I've done the steps multiple times. I've done a 4-step probably 7, 8 times now. Just because whenever I hit something that it's like, wait a minute, there's something here. There's a fucking problem here. All right. I went through this thing where whenever I would, like me and the wife would get into an argument, all right, I'd shut down. I go into my living room. I wouldn't shut my front door. I'd shut this metal screen door that I had. All right. And I'm fucking sitting there looking out bars at the fucking world going by. And I had to look at that. Okay, what's going on here? What the fuck? Okay. I'm more comfortable in the shoe than I am fucking dealing with this. And so I had to take that through the process, right? Now the steps don't scare me. All right. And I try to impart to the people that I work with that, look, okay, if you have something that's too scary for you to talk about right now, cool. All right. I get it. But hey, man, the sooner we get that out, okay, the better that wound can start to heal.
Right.
All right. I'm not here to fucking make you do anything. All right.
Exactly.
And when you set the table in a manner that promotes inclusion and acceptance, that's basically what the program is, you know? Where are we at with time?
Whenever you're all good.
Okay.
You're
I'm
all
still good.
Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
I sweat this stuff.
This is a big episode for us. This is our 20th episode. So we didn't
Okay.
want to tell you to blow your head up anymore, but this is
Right. Well,
this is a special episode.
you would have
bro.
terrified me
Yeah, no,
because
you're
this
good.
is all
You're doing
this
a great
is
job.
all so new to
This
me.
is our 20th episode, and getting 20 episodes out is like kind of like a litmus test for guys who start shows. You know what I mean?
Right on.
So, we got 20 out and you're killing it. So yeah,
Awesome.
you're good. Do your thing,
All right.
Yeah.
So, moving forward, okay. Now, what the program that I work, all right, allows me to do is it allows me when there are people that are in sticky situations, okay? Because when I first got it, I was like dudes on the yard, well, hey man, you're fucking up. You need to come to meetings, right? And fucking they'd come in and they sit there and nothing ever took. Now, all right, I've learned enough to let a motherfucker bump his head.
Yes.
Let
Absolutely.
them bump their head, and just say, hey, if
Plant the seed.
if you ever decide that this isn't what you want, there's another way.
Yeah.
And I don't miss getting loaded. I don't miss drinking.
Yeah.
I don't miss the whoop-de-whoop, and I damn sure don't miss that crime feeling, because that used to be a high all in itself. All right.
I'm big on attraction rather than promotion. That's one of the most important ones to me, especially because I'm the same way. I'm in a motorcycle club, and all the time, some of the toughest guys, the baddest dudes I know, will come to me and go, dude, I kind of want what you got. You know what I mean? What are you doing? You know what I mean? And that's how I'm like, okay, well, there's a way. But I also love what you said. You got to fuck it. That's how I learned. You know what I mean? And I definitely had to keep digging and keep seeing how deep I could make my hole, bro. You know what I mean? and part of the reason anybody that's listening, I have people like this gentleman on, is simply for you to understand that you don't got to rob 6 banks and go to prison to make a decision to stop now. Unmanageable is what it is to you.
I recommend that you don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not near as fun after it's all over.
Right.
That sense of, I swear, for the longest time, I thought that I was cursed, being adopted. I have no idea what my father's name is. I don't know who it is to this day. being adopted and always feeling different than or less than, or, all those things that come with that, like, going fishing with pops,
Yeah.
pops taking you and watching your ball games, stuff like that. I never had any of that. And so now one of the greatest blessings of this program is that I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Wherever I go. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, this here is an uncomfortable, this was uncomfortable for me, but I knew I'd be okay. I would be okay because the program has taught me that to be uncomfortable is not a bad thing.
No, you're growing. You're getting better. But to be comfortable in your own skin, to me, is also the biggest promise that came true in my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, all the other things came true, but the one that did the most profound impact on my soul was being able to wake up in the morning with a soft shoulder and a peace in my heart. You know what I mean? And again, like you said, that's also a muscle. And you have to maintain the peace just as well as you have to maintain.
Well, and you know what? I use that as a tool in my toolbox too, because if I ever start to feel like uncomfortable or restless, I tell my buddy all the time that, hey man, look, for us, hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Yeah, man.
Those are the four horsemen, those are the four horsemen.
That's right.
And if you start to feel that, then you need to look at, that's not a good place to be.
Yeah, man.
And so I use that as a tool in my toolbox. If I ever start to get agitated or upset, whoa, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's, once you do it enough times, you can look at it and say, son of a bitch.
Yeah, bro.
Once a year, I get really melancholy. All right. And it's usually for about 4 or 5 days, and it always sneaks up on me. All right. It always sneaks up on me. And it's the anniversary of my sister's death.
Yeah.
All right. My sister, it's weird. So my family's a very alcoholic family. My sister died from alcoholism. My father, who I call my father, alcoholic death. My aunt just had an alcoholic death. My grandfather, my grandmother, my grandfather on my mother's side.
Yeah.
In Snelling, the town where my family's, centralized out of, there's a whole row of tombstones. One of them wasn't an alcoholic death. That was,
so you had to break it, man.
Yeah. And, well, I'm going to die an alcoholic, just not a practicing,
you go. Right.
So,
I'm also adopted by my father and gave me his last name, the whole deal. And he's the reason I knew about AA, because he was 30 years sober. And what's funny is you mentioned this is my biological father, who I never met, was my number one resentment on my 4th step. And it was the only one when I got to that 4th column I didn't really have a part in, other than using it as a way to be a victim, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And like, fuck, dude, I'm sad or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And
well, if you'd have been there, I would have been different.
I'd have been different. I wouldn't have been a piece of shit. I would have been smoking meth at 13 and whatever, dude. You know what I mean? But it's not, same deal. Is the guy that adopted me helps me run this meeting here. You know what I mean? And
That's awesome.
he gave me his last name, and he met my mom through AA. How crazy is that? We did a speaker meeting together on Father's Day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's crazy that you talk about that, because, we share that resentment. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, the only part I had in that was fucking trying to make myself suffer because of it, And like I said, I wasn't responsible for my dad leaving, but I'm responsible for my choices and what I do because of that, And I still had a life that was great. I still had a normal fucking life. I had great parents, fucking did everything, you know what I mean? And did everything a normal kid, and I still turned out to be a dirtbag in those. So it's nature, nurture, it's genetic, it's everything. Doesn't matter. You don't have to come from alcoholic family, even though I did. But if you do and you don't, it doesn't matter. We all qualify for this disease. You know what I mean? So,
Hey, yeah. And we all learned a place at the table. That's,
right.
And how you got to the table doesn't matter. We all earned our place. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I don't even think I put my biological in my fourth step. I didn't have any resentment against him.
Because it was
wasn't,
just absent, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it was just, something that I didn't have. No, where the stuff came into my fourth step was more me stuff. I always felt different, and I reacted because I didn't feel like I could be loved. I didn't think that, uh if there was a God, why would he put me through that?
Yeah, man.
You know,
I get it.
um,
For this reason right now.
yeah. And that's, and I've come to learn that
Yeah.
later on is that,
For this
okay,
very reason. Yeah.
you don't put aluminum in fire, it
Right.
ruins it.
Yeah.
You put steel in fire to temper it.
Right.
And
for people to hear.
well, and you know what? I never in my wildest dreams thought I would be on a podcast talking about, my past.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, my buddies at the last place where we were working said, Jamey, you should write a book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, no one wants to hear my story. Who would care about my stinking story?
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I'd read it from cover to cover. And I was like, man, it never really occurred to me that maybe there was, I've spoken all over the place, to different people. I have had the opportunity and the privilege to take stuff into prisons, which was a trip.
Yeah.
Which was a real trip. I've had the opportunity to work with people at halfway houses and sponsor people coming out. And it's an incredible and profound blessing to be able to give back what was given to me and given so freely and with such generosity.
And how easy once you get fuck it, you know what I mean? It looks like, and I talk about that with guys too, is you put it so simply, and we love to complicate this shit. It's so fucking easy, man. And it really is. It's like looking at the top of a fucking mountain that you got to climb up, and it's really not that bad when you get up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, fuck, I just don't want to do it. You know what I mean? It's like praying when you don't want to know the answer. You know what I mean? It's like
looking at the top of a mountain and then you're sitting there, oh my God, that's so far.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the freaking trolley car pulls up
Yeah.
next to you, just step on it and ride it to the top.
It really is that. Yeah.
It's I've been very fortunate and in so many different ways. My crimey, my nephew that was on the yard with me that I talked about. Okay. So we both were doing the program. Okay. We both came out. He married a girl, had a little baby, was doing the thing, right? And he spun off. He's doing 35 years now. Where's he at now? In Corcoran. 35 years in Corcoran. He's eligible for parole when he's 64,
Man.
And dude, that could be me.
There go I.
It could so easily be me.
Yeah.
And I'm only one drink, one shot away from it, I have plumbed the depths of my depravity. All right. I've plumbed the depths of them. I know the darkness that is inside me. You know what I mean? And so having that, and I use that as a tool in my toolbox too, because I keep saying tools in toolbox. It's the things that I utilize to help me on the path that I'm on.
Yeah. And the program that we're talking about is not a program to stop drinking. It's a program for living. You know what I mean? And that just comes with that, And
anybody, and I say this all the time. Look, getting sober is easy. Getting sober is the easiest thing in the world. Staying sober is easier than shit. You only have to do one thing, and that's don't drink, don't use. That's it. All right?
That doesn't mean your life's going to improve. Yeah.
And that's the trick, right? That's the rub. All right? If you don't do the things to make it happy being sober, to make it into where you're not constantly missing it, okay, then what's the fucking point?
I got a funny story about that, and I've told this, but I don't think I've told it on the show. So I told you I work on the railroad. These are fucking sledgehammer swinging tough motherfuckers. And, I was at this railroad in, I think I was in Wyoming. and they don't fucking slouch in Wyoming, you know. And I was arguing with this guy about how something should be done. You know, I just patched in with my club, had about 6 years of sobriety, something like that. You know what I mean? And just my life's going great. I got a good job. Money's coming in. You know what I mean? I'm doing okay. So I think I fucking know everything. I think I was 28 at the time. You know what I mean? It was only a few years back. And regularly going to meetings. You know what I mean? And I get into an argument with this guy about how something should be done on the railroad. You know what I mean? This guy's twice my age. Big motherfucker. And they have to pull us apart. You know what I mean? And we separate. I go do my job, and I come back in Wyoming. You know, it's good old boy country, so they'll just let you fight. You know what I mean? And so that's what I think we're gonna do. And they bring us back to each other, and he grabs me by the hand. And he said, "You were fucking right. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I just want to make an amends to you." I look at him, and I'm like, "Oh shit, are you in recovery?" And he said, "What the fuck are you talking?" And so it's a constant. That story is a constant reminder at exactly what you were just saying. Is I know I'm a fucking alcoholic because I need a 12-step program to tell me when it's an acceptable time to apologize or not. Normal people don't need shit like that. So that's how I know I'm a fucking sick fucking dude. You know what I'm saying? So and you hit it right on the head. This is a program for living. It's a program for fixing the not fixing the deficiency, but treating the symptoms in a way that normal people don't need. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that's a story I never told, but it's a constant reminder. I think about that, and I'm just like, other people just do this on their own. You know what I mean? I need.
That's an amazing story, and you should tell that story more often because people need to hear it.
Yeah, and I think about that, and I remember getting through the maintenance steps, the inventory, and the amends, and I'm still working on the amends. 11 years sober, and I remember thinking, we're in October, so we always talk about 10 in October, and I remember getting through those steps and going, fuck, man, I'm so glad I never got to do any of that shit ever again. You know what I mean? I was like, fucking got it all out. I got all the bullshit from behind me away. And then, you know, my sponsor was like, well, guess what? You got to do 10 now, which is every day. You got to do 4 and 9 every day, you know? Fuck. And, you know, I always say the maintenance steps are for the clearing the wreckage, and 10 is for keeping it clear. And you do that when you go to sleep or when you wake or whatever you do. I do it when I go to sleep, you know? And, you know, what a beautiful thing. Such a simple thing. But if you're just sober and you're not treating the disease, that's a worse existence, in my opinion, because it's like riding a motor without power steering. You know what I mean? It's like with no oil in the tank and fucking.
It's like going downhill with no brakes.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's the worst. So, you know, if you're like us and that sounds like it makes sense to you, and you're struggling and you might be sober, there is a way, and it's a program for living, and it's very, very simple, and you just got to change a few things about how you're operating. You know what I mean? So, you know.
I would also, to the people that are listening and that have an ear to hear, find someone that doesn't have the things that you want, but is the person you want to be.
There you go. Yeah, that's a common misconception I hear often. And I hear guys asking people to be their sponsor, and it's like, that's what it is. It's not, it's who you want to be. I like that a lot. And it's and somebody that's going to fucking hold you accountable. You know what I mean? You don't got to, and I tell my sponsors, I'm not your fucking friend. I'm not your friend until we're done. You know what I mean? We're not friends right now. We're and that's not anything against the people I work with. It's because I don't do a good of a job holding my friends accountable as I do acquaintances. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can call an acquaintance on his shit. Once you're my friend, it's like, I'll start co-signing your bullshit, and I got to catch myself. It's my own deficiency. So that's what I say. I was like, find a guy that's going to fucking hold you accountable, He's going to fucking tell you what it is. If he thinks you're lying, he's going to tell you you're lying. Thinks you're spending too much time at the strip club, he's going to tell you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know?
You know, that's actually really, really true. I never really, because for me, like the way when I work with people, I don't really try and call them on their bullshit so much as bring them to a place where they call themselves. You know,
There
I'm
you
just
go.
take a look at this. What do you think?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's
You got to be their conscious for a little bit until
yeah,
they have
and
improve their own conscious
that
contact.
that makes a lot of sense to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
The guys that I was with, they had no problem with that.
Good.
Their style was way different than mine.
I love that.
I'm a little bit more tolerant, I think,
Good.
but
I'll get there.
well, I don't know. See, that's
Yeah.
because a lot of times I put up with a lot of bullshit crying too.
Yeah. I'd rather hurt your feelings than see you die, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't always have to do that, but I will, you know.
Mhm.
And because I'd rather you not die. I'd rather you not relapse and then fucking see what fentanyl's about, because I never got to try fentanyl. I heard it's great, but you know what I mean?
I just lost a good, I'm a local guy. I'm a
Yeah.
UA guy.
Good.
And I just lost a really good friend of mine.
Yeah, we just had a funeral here
Yeah.
for a girl.
And he wasn't doing, he was working out of state and wasn't really doing too much crazy, but he got a bad batch. And I mean, man, we can punch our ticket at any time. That's the nature of the beast. I wanted to share one thing with
Go
you,
ahead.
and I have to share this with whenever I have the opportunity. Okay. The program that I work, when I was on the yard at TI, I got called up to the LT's office, and they set me down and they said, Robinson, I got to tell you, we got a call from your mother. Your sister died. My kid's sister. And we were close, and at the time that she passed, we were estranged. And the last words that I had to her were not good words. All right. I used to get these checks, a couple times a year. And I had gotten a check, and it was a pretty good sized check. It was like 12 grand or something like that. And I told her to keep the money, give it to my kids, but to send me $1,100. And she's okay. And week goes by and I don't get the money, and I call her and she's, oh, I've been busy. I'll get it out to you. Okay, cool. Another week goes by and she's ducking my calls, right? And I call my mom and I tell mom, hey, tell Netta, okay, give me that money. I need that money. I owe some people on the yard. I've been gambling and stuff like that, and I owed some people on the yard. Not a big deal, but I like to, to keep things right. So another week goes by, nothing. And I call her, and the last thing that I did when I left a voicemail on her phone, I said, look, Netta, you know me, all right? This isn't, Netta, I will come to your house. I will kill your fucking dog, and I'll paint your door in its blood, right? Yeah. And then she died like 2 weeks later. And I was sober at the time, I was sober. I hadn't worked the steps yet, but I was sober. And that really fucked me up. And so I that's another tool in my toolbox, right? I took that to my sponsor, and there's some more to this story that I'll close with, but I took that to my sponsor and I told him, dude, and he's like, yeah, okay. What's the lesson there, And the lesson was that I never ever will say anything in anger, I just don't now. I've been married for almost 10 years. I've never raised my voice to my wife. I've never raised my voice in anger to my wife. I've never called my wife outside of her name except baby girl or honey, I just don't. And the lessons that we learn, the ones that are the most fucking valuable have the most pain attached to them.
Yeah, man.
You know, um, and so now I don't look at things with shame. Okay, I look at the lesson behind the pain.
You do
If
not
you're,
regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it.
yeah, well, I mean, now I've learned, and yeah, that's, and you know what, I never equated it to that.
Yeah.
That's actually, that was well put,
Yeah.
because for me, it's okay. I take the pain. What is the lesson? Okay, in the pain, what is the lesson? Don't run away from it. Look at what the fucking lesson is. All right. And now you don't have to go through that pain again. You know, that pain becomes a tool in your toolbox. And so this is what I want to close with. And this is so when they pulled me up into the LT's office, now you got to understand, I've got a pretty violent history as far as the books in there go. Okay. I did a lot of time in the shoe for, you know, punching dudes in the soup cooler, stuff like that. So they knew I had a violent history, and the LT told me that my sister died, and he looked at me and I said, Robinson, do I have to lock you up? And I said, no. And he goes, you sure? He said, you know, put you on a wellness hold. I said, dude, I'm okay. Just let me go back to the unit. So I go back to the unit, and I'm in the unit, and I'm about to lose my shit. You know, I mean, it's hitting me. And so I go to the CO that's running the unit, and I said, hey man, you need to let me out. And, you know, in prison, they don't just open doors and let fucking convicts out. And he's like, yeah, right, Robinson. You know, and I says, no, hey, look, okay, you need to open the fucking door and let me out. And he saw me, you know what I mean? And he was one of the ones that knew what I was trying to do. Okay. The steps that I was trying to make to turn around. So he opened the door, man, and he fucking made a call down to South Yard. The way the yards are at TI is you got the North Yard and the South Yard, and the South Yard's where like the baseball diamonds are in the track and that shit. So he called down to South Yard and said, hey, I got one coming, just let him through. And I'm walking the track, and I'm losing my shit, all right? And my boys, the guys that are like me, all right, that are doing what I'm doing, they see me, all right? They see me through the window. And so when they call a movement, my guys come out and they're fucking huddled around me, okay? In prison, crying and shit like that is fucking, that's weak. And you don't, that's not, you know. And so these guys huddled around me, and as I swear it was like I was in a cocoon. They wouldn't let anyone near me, and they just let me walk for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and lose my shit. And that to me is always, and that is always, that's another tool of my, that's what the program that I work is, all right? If you can't walk on your own, if you can't make it by yourself, trust in the herd, okay? Because there are people around you that will hold you up and shelter you until you can walk on your own. And I want to be one of those people. Not only that, okay? I also want to acknowledge the grace that has been given to us by the people that have gone before that allow that to happen. All right. I'm in one of the most awful fucking places experience wise on the planet. And there are fucking enough men there that don't want nothing from me other than to see me succeed. That's always what the program that I work means.
Yep.
There are always, if you will just allow the people around you to fucking help you, you will always succeed because they won't let you fucking fail, you know? And I want to be one of those people. I want to have that grace that, if you need me, and if you're out there and you need me, okay, if you reach out, I will answer. So,
don't drink without me.
Huh?
Don't drink without
me. Just before you do whatever you got in your head to do, give a cracker a call.
Yeah.
You know?
There you go. Yeah. I say something similar. I you know, and same thing is it if you're struggling with drugs and alcohol and you reach out wherever you're watching this, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anything, you can follow us on Instagram. You can send us a message. We got the 1-800 numbers in all the comment sections of every episode we've ever done. But if you are struggling with drugs and alcohol, and if it's a good enough reason, I'll come get drunk with you. I promise, but it's got to be a really good reason. And the caveat is obviously many people have called me. I ain't never gotten drunk, but
Yeah.
but a lot of people have come to where we
Preferably
are
call before you get drunk.
at. Exactly. Yeah.
But for me, okay, look, I don't care. It doesn't even have to be drugs and alcohol. You could be 20 years sober and you're going through a divorce. You're going through a death. You're going, you know what I mean? Maybe, something horrible, cancer, whatever. If you need someone to walk with you and fucking hold your hand, I don't want you to feel alone. We're never alone. But you have to reach out and you have to trust that hand will be there to pick you up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're not going to come find you. We're not going to sit at the bar waiting for you.
I'm not omnipotent.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Right.
I've tried. It doesn't work.
Got to do the first part. And that's the hardest part, but that's the only one you got to do by yourself.
And I will leave my contact number with you guys.
Cool. And if you
anyone,
reach out, we'll get you in contact. Yeah.
And look, if you just want to chop it up, but hey, I'm a chatty motherfucker. You can always call me. I'm cool. Outside of that, guys, I think I pretty much exhausted my resources.
Thank you so much for being here. This is the 20th episode, the 4th Street Live podcast. We've got a lot more cool things coming, all things recovery, motorcycles, Reno, just whatever the fuck we want to talk about, really, But man, my friend, thank you for being here.
This is an awesome thing you're doing here.
Thanks,
I'm blessed and very appreciative to have had the opportunity to come and share with you. It's awesome.
We'll see you Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Be safe, bro.
Yes, sir.